you got to handle the first one, right? Okay. All right, are we ready? Ready? All right, Mayor, ready? Everybody ready? All right, welcome. Good evening. Welcome to the committee meetings for April 14th, 2026. The elected body present, Mayor Mary Robichaux, Councilmember Aaron Brumley, Councilmember Christine Hall, Councilmember Jennifer Philippi, Councilmember Alan Sells, Councilmember Christopher Zag. I'm Randy Knighton, the city administrator, along with the city attorney, David Davidson, and the city clerk, Nancy Long. The purpose of committee meetings are for the city departments to convey information to the mayor and city council and discuss initiatives listed on the published agenda and provide updates of vital information essential to the operation of city government. The committee consists of the council as well as the city administrator, and that's done by ordinance. And while this is a public meeting, it's not a public hearing. Therefore, while we certainly welcome members of the public to attend, we do not usually take comments at these meetings unless specifically authorized. Public comments and questions are received on the second and fourth Monday of each month in city council meetings, as well as the fifth Monday in open forum. We do encourage residents to reach out to us and engage our online platforms for any questions or needs for information. We also encourage you to access the city web service portal to report any issues and concerns, and to visit Roswell 365 for a calendar of events. This Thursday, we have our first Alive in Roswell for the season. We look forward to you attending. I'm sure there will be surprises all around. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the committee meeting minutes for March 24th, 2026. We'll entertain a motion. Motion by Mayor Robichaux, second by Councilmember Sells. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, thank you very much. That passes. And thank you. We'll note also that Councilmember Sarah Beeson has just joined us as well. All right, for the regular agenda for committee, the first item, item number 2, consideration of a request authorization for the mayor and/or city administrator to sign a renewal contract with Arthur J. Gallagher Risk Management Services, LLC, for property casualty and management liability insurance in an amount of $1,339,397, $1,339,397. This will be presented by David Davidson, our city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. Yes, this is a request to renew our current insurance with GERMA, Travelers, and Global Aerospace. This is a actual 5% reduction from our premium from last year. The market is about a 7 to 15% increase, but because our Rec and Parks Department has done such a great job this year, we are actually getting a 5% decrease. We recommend approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Yes, questions for Mr. Davidson? Yes, Councilmember Zag.
Hey, just to be clear, and I think this is the case, our insurance is going through a broker, right? So each of these are individually. How long have we been with this broker or used them?
This broker, probably, well, with Gallagher, we've probably been with them 4 or 5 years.
Okay. And I guess secondly, and this is more for curiosity than anything, how has cyber insurance gone over the last 5 years? Because I know when I was here, it was upticking to become super expensive, and I don't know if we've had a change in the market.
Right. I think it's kind of leveled off, so it hasn't really maybe dropped a little bit, but it's pretty much level.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes, Councilmember Philippi.
Do you know if they went to market on these lines of coverage?
We did not go to market. They did some feelers, but they didn't go full market this year.
Yeah. I would just be, I mean, it's good, but I would be interested in like a full proposal at some point, maybe next year.
Sure. Any other questions or comments regarding this item? I do think, to Councilmember Philippi's point, that 4 or 5 year, usually 3 to 5 year level for not only this item, but most items it's probably time to go back out to market. So well noted, and we'll make sure that is something that's a part of the preparation for bringing this item forward next year. That's good. Okay. All right. Any further questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Philippi, second by Councilmember Brumley. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that passes unanimously and moves forward. Thank you very much. Item number 3, consideration to approve budget amendment 213351-04-27-26 in the amount of $36,225 for the configuration of emergency medical services response bags and the purchase of Life Rack 1000 automated external defibrillator, AEDs, with naloxone. I certainly didn't pronounce that correctly.
You did.
I did.
You did.
Wonderful. Presented by Chief Troche.
Thank you, City Administrator. Mayor, Council, what we are requesting tonight is funds that are already been made available to us. They've been made available by a settlement that happened with naloxone, and we are accessing those funds in order to, one, increase how much Narcan we carry. We currently carry 2, and we need to up that to 5. There's a greater need for the Narcan administration. 2 is not working anymore, so we need more. And this is also supported by our medical director. What we're also doing is we're deploying new EMS bags that allow us for rapid deployment of that pharmaceutical instead of going back and having to grab another case. Secondary to that, we're going to put AEDs with Narcan and some of the administrative vehicles of the fire department that are around the city all day traveling around that can make rapid access to cardiac arrest patients as well as patients that may have experienced an overdose. They'll have the ability, much like our police officers, to have Narcan and AEDs on board. So again, what we're asking is for the $36,225,000 for this program, which again, those funds are already available. We're just asking for access for those funds. There's currently $133,000 in the fund. I will take any questions.
Thank you, Chief Troche. Councilmember Zach.
It's a purely question out of curiosity. My assumption here is that we don't have an increase in cases of overdoses, but it's just the reality of the people who are overdosing needs a higher dosage. Is that a true statement?
That's a true statement.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, any further questions or comments regarding this item? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Beeson, second by Mayor Robichaux. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 4, consideration of a text amendment to Articles 24.6, adoption of Roswell Dredging Assistance Policy, Section 24.6.1, Dredging Assistance Policy of the City of Roswell Code of Ordinances. As Mr. Watson comes forward, I will note we've had some discussions regarding this item and potential changes and or updates as it's proposed. Mr. Watson will present kind of a base draft for discussion purposes and also for any action taken by the council, mayor and council this evening. I know there's been some conversation around amounts and or limits or no limits. And so certainly we understand that is a part of the discussion this evening. Mr. Watson.
Thank you, Mr. Knighton. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As Mr. Knighton said, based on feedback that we've received from Mayor and from Council over the last few months on the dredging policy, staff are proposing some changes that we would want to have made to this policy. The primary goal of these changes are to refine the amount of assistance and to clarify the process that aligns better with the budgeting process and the timeline. So in your packet, you'll have 3 exhibits. The first exhibit is the dredging policy non-red line, so the original policy. The second attachment is red line proposed changes, and then the third attachment is a table that summarizes what changes are in the red line version, so it summarizes those. The first set of changes clarifies the timing of when the application and approvals must be completed in relation to the budget year. So currently the policy does not include any dates for submittals and applications related to a budget year. So basically, if something gets submitted, the interpretation from the policy is that mayor and council at that time would have to make a decision as to where the money is coming from, so they have to budget it. So the proposed revisions, and they're kind of in the middle of the screen there. The first one is a timeline by which a draft application is to be submitted and evaluated for the following budget year. And we are proposing this date to be March 31st. So what a draft application would be is it would be an acknowledgement from the applicant that they are going to be submitting an application, and they would let us know, and they would also have an engineer's estimate of cost, so that at that time, staff and then ultimately mayor and council would know going into the budget cycle what is a potential amount of budget assistance that's being requested. The second edit there is the timeline by which a completed application needs to be approved to be eligible for the next budget year. So we are proposing this date to be December 31st. And the next one is the land disturbance permit. So basically what this says is that both the application and the land disturbance permit would need to be approved by December 31st of one year to be eligible for assistance in the next year. So with these three edits, it will give mayor and council at least 9 months, going into the budget, at least 3 months notice going into the budget cycle, and at least 9 months before funds would need to be made available to an applicant. The next proposed change is at the bottom of the screen, and really what this is just doing is kind of elaborating a little bit more on some of the criteria that the department will evaluate when applications come in. So currently the main evaluation criteria is stormwater benefit, but through the meetings that we've had over the last couple months, we've added proposed changes to include looking at downstream water quality impact of the lake or pond, and also looking at the contributing drainage area to the lake or pond and what makes that up to provide some more information. And so with that, I will take any questions that you all have.
Thank you, Mr. Watson. Councilmember Hall.
Thank you, and thank you for bringing this forward. So things get delayed, and if a neighborhood applies by March 31st and they just don't get there just because of engineering or whatever, it takes longer than the December 31st, they would just be able to move one year down the pike.
That is correct.
So if we were dealing in 2026, if they applied by March 31st, we would try and target them for 27, for the budget year 27. But if they were not able to get all of their ducks in a row and get everything done, then they would just get moved to the 2028 budget cycle.
Absolutely correct. That's right. So the idea would be, in that case, it would give mayor and council a couple of options going into the budget season. If they recognize, okay, this is coming through, they could actually, you all could budget it over a couple of years, or you could budget it it gives you more flexibility. You just know that it's coming in, and so they would definitely be eligible for that year, or hopefully not the year after
Terrific.
that.
No, that's fantastic, because this is something we want to encourage this. This helps the city financially in a great way. So we don't want to disincent communities that are eligible to participate from doing this. But this also gives the opportunity for, as the new folks came in, so that you're not having to react and do contingent funding for something that you knew about. Thank you very much.
Mayor Robichaux, and then we'll give you.
So I don't want to throw a kink in, but considering we're already April 14th, March 31st of 2026 has passed. So are we basically stating this year, since I'm not sure if anyone has officially applied, are we going to give a little bit of a leeway this 1 year, since if this policy change occurs, it wouldn't occur till April 27th at the earliest? I'm just.
Correct. So in my 5 years here, and the applications that have been approved, it's usually, it seems to be at least an 18-month to 24-month process.
Okay.
So because we have not received any applications, we're actually trying to get these changes as early as we can in this year to be ready for the next year if there's any sort of
Right.
applicant.
I just want to be, obviously that might, or maybe I'm going to ask, even though I appreciate this would be the policy, if we documented a date and for some strange reason, who knows, an organization or a subdivision does come forward May 1st or May 2nd, that could possibly be considered, or would that, since it would be outside of the policy, they're already basically nothing for 2026?
It would be, by the ordinance, you would consider them not next year's budget, but the next year's budget.
Right, that's, okay.
But again, I have not received any applications or any intent.
Okay.
And that-
I just was trying to be as fair as I could to, just in case stranger things had happened.
Councilmember Beeson, and then Councilmember Sells. Councilmember Beeson, okay.
And to confirm the justification for the change in process, this is really, Jamari, the budgeting process on the city's end with the application process that we've previously had before. To your point, it's a long lead time of 18 to 24 months. It's kind of difficult for us to pre-plan that process of when it's going to hit the budget, and some years there's none, some years there's multiple. So it's really just so that we can get a process in place to prepare ahead for that budget, whatever year it hits, correct?
That is absolutely correct, yeah, because there were just no dates in it, so to help at least put some parameters around it.
We were flying blind before.
Correct.
Right, thank you.
Councilmember Sells.
Appreciate what Sarah said, and basically I was going to make that point as well. And I mean, really, we're just trying to interpose a budget opportunity between the application and the spend. And so if somebody came along this year and had a dredging emergency, if there is such a thing, if they came along, we can certainly say we're going to include that in next year's budget if we wish to. There's nothing that precludes us from doing that as the elected body. So we probably could deal with that if it came up. Would you agree with that?
That would be up to mayor and council.
Yeah. So the answer to that's yes then.
Councilmember Hall, then Councilmember Zach.
Actually, thank you for saying that. That's what I was going to say, because we are the policymakers and the ones that make the decisions, so we could make that call.
Thank you. Councilmember Zach.
Thank you, Ryan. This may be more of addressing towards you, Randy, because I think from a policy perspective, this meets what we're asking for, and I'm very content. Two things I want to bring up is, this is one policy where we recognized retroactively that we had a challenge with timing, and now we're correcting it. That's awesome. So kind of a ask to Randy is, maybe as a whole staff, could we see and look, is there other things that we could get ahead of so we don't figure this out retroactively in a similar way? This may be the only one, but at least want to make the ask. And then secondly, we kind of talked about this being something we want for people to do, and at a policy level, like I think we've achieved our goal, but then I think there, to me, maybe a downstream marketing level as well of, if this is all we have from policy, we're going to be asking a lot of citizens to kind of digest what this means in the timing. So it may be a broader ask of, if this is what we want people doing, could we also include some level of marketing material, and not necessarily trying to sell it, but saying like, here's a process map, here's a diagram, this is what the process is, this is what the timing is, versus just the policy. So again, not really for you, but just want to recommend that to Randy. And I think that's it for me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. And I think, given the uniqueness of the dredging policy, which is, I believe, somewhat of an anomaly throughout the country, obviously very important here and within the city of Roswell's context, I think that, just thinking about it, so many items that are dependent upon budget are almost repetitious every year. They have to be funded. And so I'd be hard pressed to think of something that would fall into this category, but we'll challenge the team to determine if that in fact is the case. And then Mayor Robichaux.
And just maybe for public edification, the concept about approximately how many sites would meet the requirement of the minimum, the 20 acre, that whole concept. I think I'm not sure if everyone understands what, it's not every single.
Yes, ma'am. So the minimum criteria, there's two minimum criteria that we look at, either drainage area, which is 100 acres, or a volume of 20 acre feet. So those are our minimum. Now, of that right now, identified in the city, there's 49 lakes or ponds that meet those minimum criteria. If there are other ones, it's only going to be one or two, but that's what we've been able to identify that would meet the minimum criteria.
Councilmember Philippi and Councilmember Sells. Councilmember Philippi.
Just to Councilmember Zach's point about the communication, since we know that there's these 49 lakes, do we have contacts for those HOAs or whatever? Like, could we send them an email with the updated?
We could. I don't know if we have the contacts for all. It's hard to get some contacts for some HOAs.
Yeah, I know that's been said before. And
but we can send information to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think I think you were thinking marketing more broadly, but if we can get them direct, I think that would be good.
That is something that we'll take a look at, and I think broader issue is identifying contacts for all HOAs for various other matters of communication as well, which I think is important for the city. So, okay, duly noted. We'll make sure that communications team and our new director, Matt Holmes, is he here? We've got a task for him. We've got a task. We've got a task for him. All right. Duly noted. Councilmember
Yeah, I
Sales.
was actually going to talk about what Mary said, and that is, there's another criteria too, is that they can't come back but every so often. So that's how many years?
Every 10, right now, the policy states that if you get approved, you have to wait 10 years to come back for another application. So
Right.
10 years between.
So when you think about the pool of possible people who are going to show up at this door, it's a pretty short list of people in any
It's a
given
small
year.
list, that's correct.
And furthermore, I mean, these are 20-year projects often. I mean, it depends on how much you dredge and that kind of stuff, and whether you're doing the whole thing or you're doing a section or things like that. But this is not, I mean, you could talk to every HOA, and none of those presidents are going to be there by the time this comes back around. So I think we're making work here.
There's
I
been
just-
3
I don't
approved
get that.
applications in the last 11 years. Sorry? There's been 3 approved applications in the last 11 years.
Yeah, and only, the first one may be eligible to come back, but the rest of them are not eligible yet to come back. So I mean, I wouldn't bust a gut trying to tell
Yeah.
these 49 people who are not going to be there 10 years from now, hey, by the way.
Okay. Councilmember Brumley.
So you said 3 have been approved. How many
3
have
applications
been
have
approved?
been approved.
Do you know how many have applied?
5.
Okay. And do you
5 total.
remember why the other ones were declined?
Yeah, 1 did not meet the minimum requirements, and 1, the job was already done, and they were trying to get assistance, and that is completely against the policy. You have to notify the city in advance before you ever move dirt.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Actually, I do know where Mr. Holmes is. He's working on a special project at the moment. Any further questions or comments? Yes. Okay. All right. Motion by Councilmember Hall. Second by Councilmember Sells. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that passes unanimously. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Watson. And we do have, let's see. Mr. Watson is still there, yes. Item number 5. Consideration of a resolution.
We can make this quick and I can go, that's okay.
Consideration of a resolution to update sanitation solid waste fees to include a quote, house garage door, unquote, service fee for residents. Mr. Watson.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'm happy to stay here. One more item. The solid waste utility would like to establish a house garage door fee for residents. This fee would be charged to residents who would like to have their garbage picked up at their house or at their garage versus having it picked up at the street. This fee would not impact any of those residents that meet the curbside exemption criteria, which are those residents that are 65 years or older and have a medical note that says that they can't go to the street. And with that, I will take any questions that you all may have.
Mr. Watson, thank you. Questions or comments pertaining to this item? Councilmember Zach.
Not necessarily a question. I think we talked about this as you were presenting earlier. Could you talk a little bit about kind of the history of this? I think it will help for public consumption of that. This is, in a lot of ways, kind of a correction and adding of service versus taking away, but it could be perceived as that. So.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, good question. So there's 2 reasons that we're proposing this fee. Right now, we've actually had several hundred requests to have it. Residents actually want their garbage and recycling picked up at their garage or their house. Since we don't offer that as a service, we have had to say no. But the utility also has a number of addresses where it has historically been a safety concern to actually pick up the garbage or yard waste or recycling at the street, often due to busy streets and unsafe streets. So because we don't want to put our sanitation workers in harm's way, there are approximately 1,039 residents where we go onto their property and pick up the garbage and recycling. And we've been doing that for a number of years. In 2025, we acquired our first automatic side loader garbage truck, which is the trucks that have the claw. And with that, we only need to have one driver. We don't have to have a refuse collector who rides on the back of a truck. And with that, we've evaluated all of our 1,039 residents, and we can pick up the garbage and recycling at the street. So because of that, we will be phasing out those residents to be able to start picking up at the street. But again, if any of those residents meet the curbside exemption criteria, then we would still be collecting on their property.
All right. Yes, Councilmember Philippi.
So you're saying, though, that you have requests for this?
Correct.
Can you describe at all in general why, like any reasons why these, I mean, like, are there any other legitimate reasons or any other disabilities or concerns or anything that we would be missing that we aren't considering? Is it just a preference thing that people are
It's
asking?
purely convenience.
I mean, that's,
It
yeah,
is purely convenience.
okay.
It is, now, the 1,000 residents, it was safety for us.
For you, yes.
But the request that we have had is, we'd really like you to come onto our property, and we actually don't like to go into somebody's. property. We
VIP
don't have to.
service.
That's right.
Okay.
And they want that. And so that's actually the first reason. The second reason is because now that we have actually 2 ASLs, our first one we got in 25, the second one we got earlier this year, and now we can handle all those residents safely.
Okay, I just want to make sure there's not another legitimate reason. Be forgetting.
All right, thank you. Any additional questions or comments pertaining to this item? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion. Motion by Councilmember Sells, second by Councilmember Zach. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that moves forward unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Watts. We may need to bring you back for some. Thank you, sir. Item number 6, consideration of approval of a retaining wall over 6 feet in height for Fellowship Christian School. This will be presented by Jeannie Payton, Planning and Zoning Director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The item before us is a development at Fellowship Christian School, and they are requesting a retaining wall over 6 foot, which must be approved by Mayor and Council. As part of their plan to relocate a modular classroom, Fellowship Christian School is requesting approval for a concrete retaining wall. The wall at its highest point is approximately 14.3 feet. 14 feet 3 inches. It tapers down at each end from 4 foot 6 inches to its maximum height, and then back down to 1 foot 6 inches. It's approximately 250 feet in length. And we believe that based on its location and the topography, that the wall is not easily visible from the right-of-way, but it would be primarily viewed from the school's football field facility. So here is the football field, and the circle, red circle, is the location of the modular classroom and where the wall will be, and the renderings will be from the perspective of that arrow. So we can come back and forth. So here is the proposed retaining wall, as it will, again, 250 feet in length, circle the modular classroom area, and the highest point of the wall is indicated there. Here's a rendering with the modular classroom in place, and as you can see, the highest point will not be visible from this as you approach the football field, and with the stands being on the other side. And this next one shows we've removed the modular classroom, and it shows the highest point of the wall. Again, it tapers to 4 foot 6 on one end and 1 foot on the other. Do you have any questions?
I believe this has gone to the Design Review Board for approval of materials.
Correct, it
construction
was-
materials, right?
The project in total was approved by
Okay,
Design
all
Review
right.
Board previously.
Make that point. All right, yes, Councilmember Beeson.
Confirming based off this rendering that as a parent of some very adventurous young boys, That's fencing in place along the edging of that retaining wall to prevent students or children getting near that
Yes.
leading edge.
So to the left is the parking area and the road, and so then that would stop anybody from going down over the wall.
Excellent, thanks.
All right.
Some people, most people. Probably not my child.
All right.
Oh, mine definitely would do it.
Any questions or comments regarding this item? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to move this forward. Motion by Councilmember Beeson, second by Mayor Robichaux. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right, that moves forward unanimously as well. All right, thank you. All right, item number 7. Discussion of T-Splost 3 project list. T-Splost is Transportation Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax with a proposed referendum in November for all of Fulton County voters to determine if this T-Splost would move forward or be renewed. This is T-Splost 3. And the various cities are working to determine a project list. And Mr. Flegger and Mr. Nicholas will support this presentation for a discussion of the T-Splost 3 project list. Mr. Flegger.
Thank you very much. So as we're going to start working through, I'm just going to run through a very quick background of where we are and why we're here. Wave your hand if you want me to slow down. You've seen some of this before. But it is a special purpose local option sales tax. This information we have gone through. And as we move forward, where we are now is we're about to go out for public outreach. And to do that, we need a financially constrained list of projects that we think we would want to pursue. So the purpose of tonight is to try to get down to that constrained list, and I'll show you where we are in just a moment. The draft project list, what I did, thank you for your input from all of the different spreadsheets that you've sent me. Remember we started with, I think, 142 projects total. For any project that at least one of you said, I think we ought to do this, that is what this current list is showing today. So we are down to 25 projects. So, yes, ma'am.
That noted column is the one where at least one of them said?
The noted column is how many different spreadsheets, and one of the spreadsheets was 3 people together, but somebody said they would like that. And 4 means everybody did. So that is staff and council voting. So this is page 1, this is page 2. This is basically what you have in front of you in hard copy so you can read it much better than on the screen. We do have a list. These are all of those project numbers scattered on the map. This is where we are right now. These are some of the multi-use trail projects called out that in that heavy blue. There are 5 multi-use trail projects that if we pursue all 5 of those, closes up 2 loops, one in the south part of the city and one in the middle part of the city. That does include planning on getting some federal funding for the purple area, which is, I'm sorry.
Warsaw.
Warsaw and
Mimosa.
Mimosa. I knew that word. So we could do that. And then as we move forward, going into public comment, these are examples of the types of project sheets that this public will see. As we move forward, we will have a sheet like this for every one of the projects so they know where it is and what we're trying to accomplish with that project. With that, if you're ready, I want to jump into the spreadsheet and go through project review. No objections? All right, everybody's studying diligently. Yes, ma'am.
So this spreadsheet that the copy has, council, what about your staff recommendations? That's not in here, right?
I hit it. I can show them to you. So this is, if we take all 25 projects, showing you how this spreadsheet is working, take all 25 projects, we're at $144 million worth of projects. If you want to see staff recommendations, initial council, I was here somewhere. All right, bear with me for a minute. There we are, sorry. I was hiding things and I was splitting the screen. This constrained staff list is here. We constrained it down to $80 million worth of recommended projects. The initial list you had got from us where we were initially discussing this, and we had yeses and considered, that was also over this $80 million. So we sat down today and said if we were tying it down to $80 million, which ones would we definitely want to move forward? And this is where we are. My hope today is we can use this pink column to come up with the group's answer for which ones you want to move forward with. I did cook up the spreadsheet. As we add a yes, it totals up the top. So it should work. Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Hall?
Thank you. Just because just before this meeting, so the public knows, we've been immersed in this and spent a lot of time. So I'm just going to jump to the question. On the bridges that you're recommending, there were originally 2. I see that it's back down to 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you pull back a bridge?
Just because of the financial constraint.
And what did you add instead of the bridge?
We did not add instead of the bridge. There were a bunch of others that we cut out because we had about $120 million worth of projects identified in our initial list. As we are cutting those out, these are the ones that we have left and remaining.
Okay, and I guess we'll go through those because when the 3 of us met, and then I briefly Councilmember Philippi was out of town, but Councilmember Beeson and Brumley were in one of the meetings. We ended up somewhere around 75, 80 million. So I was just wondering, and that included the 2 bridges. So something changed. I just want to know what it is so that I don't have to hunt for it, if you know.
I don't believe we added anything. We took away a lot of our yeses to get to this amount, to get to the 80.
And which bridge did you leave in?
We left in Oxbow Road at Hog Wallow Creek. It's a fairly heavily traveled bridge and in need of repair.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Mayor Robichaux?
Could you go further down so we can see the rest of the yeses of the staff?
The one thing we did add, Councilmember Beeson had asked us to consider looking at the sidewalks on State Route 9 from State Route 120 up till Hill Street. We came up with a total guess at that of about $3 million. Some of that sidewalk's in good shape. Some of it needs repair and burying of utilities or moving of utilities. So we did add that in at $3 million.
Councilmember Beeson?
I noticed there's 2 sections of scope related to the intersection of Crabapple and Hembry. There's the operations and safety improvements with, woohoo, do we need that? Yes. But there's also the ped bike improvement, and it says Hembry is where you're looking to put in a multi-use path, which makes sense because there's a park and a school on that road. Would that also finish out the rest of the connectivity from Hembry and Crabapple through either of those projects for sidewalk? Because there's a section of sidewalk missing at that intersection. Would that sidewalk be within that scope?
I'll ask Greg to see about that. The operations and safety is strictly a roundabout, removing the signal and putting in a roundabout. Would probably have a little bit of sidewalk. I don't,
Well, and also too, I don't know if that just covers the entire section that's missing the sidewalk. It's spotty through there at best. The sidewalk, as you're going southbound on Crabapple towards Hembry, the sidewalk is on your left-hand side on a hillside, and it comes to a crosswalk that can only go on Hembry, but you cannot keep going down Crabapple towards the historic district and Highway 92. So I don't know, depending on the size of that roundabout, would the rest of that project be finishing out with the sidewalk connectivity onto Crabapple's existing sidewalk
We
network?
would likely try to extend it to the south to connect to the existing sidewalk.
Perfect, okay, thank you.
All right. Okay, Mr. Legger, do you want to continue at the moment, or do we have any? Yes, Councilmember Hall.
Thank you. Are the items the same? Did you renumber the items at all from the last sheet that we had?
no ma'am,
Okay.
did not.
All right, yes, Mayor Robichaux?
So when item maintenance, item number 7, the resurfacing,
Yes, ma'am.
where we have it, is that $25 million? Is that more for a catch-up model versus what we would usually budget?
Yes,
I
ma'am. The
understand.
intent there is.
Could you also tell us approximately how many miles of roads are we talking about? I think I'm reading that correctly.
Yes, so up until now, the last several years, the city spent about $3 million per year, the last 2 years. On top of that, got another $1 million from GDOT. Last year, that $4 million got 14.2 miles of road done. What we're trying to do with 350 miles of roadway in our inventory, we would like to get on a 20-year cycle, and it's not going to be 15 miles a year. So on top of the existing budget, we would like that to continue, but we'd like to use $5 million a year from T-Splosh to try to catch up with some of the roads that we have are in really poor shape. We're not going to get there doing $4 million a year, 14 miles a year in any other way.
Councilmember Hall? Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you, and I'll reiterate from our conversations that operational items are not in my constituents that I've discussed with, and my feeling that T-Splosh is for projects, and it's a project like a bridge that we would need to repair, not ongoing operational maintenance that comes out of general funds. So I would very much not be in support of trying to allocate T-Splosh dollars to ongoing maintenance when the city should be able to manage their operations fund and budget accordingly for resurfacing.
Councilmember Brumley?
So forgive me because it's my first time there in doing spots, but are you saying like with the bonds, that we cannot use the general bonds for maintenance? Is this the same case for T-Splosh? Legally, we cannot use those funds, or is it just your philosophy is that we shouldn't?
Well, I would actually defer to our city attorney on that.
Yeah, you can use,
You
T-Splosh
can?
funds can be used for resurfacing, and some communities do that. I mean, obviously, it's a philosophical issue and determination by the respective elected bodies if you believe that they should be devoted to resurfacing or not, or just for projects, as Councilmember Hall alluded to. So that's just a determination that the elected body would make.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I understand what you're trying to say, but it sounds like if we just keep on going little by little, we're never going to catch up. And this will be an opportunity to start from, get the whole city and then gradually do this.
These are limited funds. We have to learn to live on our budget. So we have to basically increase revenues by increasing our commercial activity, economic development. I mean, we went through this in the retreat. You either increase taxes or you increase revenues or you reduce expenses. But if we can't live on what we're getting, we have a problem with the budget. So we should not be using operation money out of T-Splosh. It's special purpose. It's a special purpose
Local option sales tax.
local option. So it's a special purpose. So that's what it's intended for. These projects like a bridge that we have to fix, or like the Roswell Loop, to build out a Roswell Loop. That's what T-SPOS is for. I believe that if residents thought that we were abdicating and creating a hole in the budget and not using money out of our general budget to fund our operations and using special local option sales tax for that, I mean, that's a fiduciary fail.
And I understand that, but again, I haven't participated in the budget in previous years, so it seems that, you know, it has been a problem, and this is an opportunity to fix that, the budget that hasn't been able to keep up with things. It's, you know, that's the other side of the.
We have to fix our budget. Yep, that's right. We have to increase commercial revenue sources. I mean, and that's what we were
That's
balls to the
fixing.
wall for 4 years trying to do.
Councilmember Philippi?
Yeah, I think generally in normal terms, I would agree with you. But so my understanding is there was $4 million put in the budget for repaving for this year. For how many years has that been going on?
This year, there was $3 million of City of Roswell money. We got $1 million of Georgia funding.
Okay.
So we were at $4 million. The last year was also that, but a couple of years before that, it was really down at less than $1 million a year. I forgot we had the table before in presentation, but it's been a few years since we even spent $3 million on resurfacing.
Yeah, so this hole was created years ago, and it would be difficult for us to catch up in any time in the near future without increasing taxes, with those new revenues not immediately coming. So in this case, our residents may think that this is an appropriate use of funds. And part of this plan is to get some residential input on this, right? So we're not thinking that we forever want to use T-SPOS for paving, but in this situation, it might be a good opportunity to get caught up and provide some service to the city that has been badly needed. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Hall?
When are these T-SPOS funds, what are we looking at? This is 3 years from now,
The tax will
It'll-
start being collected in 2027.
2027?
I believe we
April.
get quarterly
27.
payments, the cities,
Monthly.
monthly payments from
Yeah.
Fulton County as the revenue comes in. Cities get their proportional share coming in after that.
Similar to Lost. Yeah, similar to Lost.
Thank you.
Councilmember Brumley?
So in theory, we start, if it passes, it will start next April? Like in 1 year, we'll start seeing those things?
Yeah, so the
Right.
collections would start in April.
Elections, oh.
If we may be able to do some sort of budget amendment at the end of the year, that we would work with finance on that, because we can kind of project what the revenues would be for 2027. So we could start some of our like especially like design and stuff, we'd want to start that going even in January, because we know what revenues would come in. And then same thing with like if resurfacing were on the list that first year, we could probably go ahead and pick off 5 million and add that. So that actually would be a kind of a quick win, you know, if resurfacing is in the T-SPOS. So those dollars would be out the door kind of that year one.
And I think that's also good for the public, because resurfacing is like very visible. Like all of a sudden they're gonna start seeing trucks and cars, you know, are less, you know, because we all know which streets are the ones that are not super great.
All right.
So,
I'm sorry.
so, you know, this part I think, yeah, I mean, I understand the concerns of Councilmember Hall, but it sounds like this is a good opportunity to catch up and, you know, start budgeting a little bit better. It sounds like a similar situation with the roof, you know, that, you know, we all of a sudden we need to catch up. And now from now on, we're going to start being a little bit, and you know, again, resurfacing is very visible, you know, in the neighborhoods and to the people, so they can see how their tax dollars are starting to be used. Whereas some of these projects is going to be like 5 years, 10 years, and they're going to see. We still have questions from people from the previous slabs that things haven't been completed, and whereas this is one of those items that can be completed. Maybe, I mean, I could see some kind of compromise. Maybe not $25 million, maybe less. Of course, that's still not going to completely catch up, but it seems to me personally that is a worthy proposal.
All right, our Mayor Robichaux. And Councilmember Zach.
So again, just, and if I heard your numbers correctly, with the 4 million this year, the 3 million budgeted plus the 1 million from GDOT, we did approximately 14 miles?
Correct.
14 miles. So with an additional, at 214,000 plus some change per mile was with the cost. But with this additional money, each year we could add in another 23 miles in addition to that 3-4 million. So that brings us up to 9. So that would bring us up to the concept of doing 37 miles for the next 5 years, which makes us a total of technically resurfacing 185 miles as needed out of approximately 325 miles of city
Yes, ma'am.
street.
Does not get us all the way there.
Okay, but it gets us a lot closer.
Gets us a lot closer than we are and lets us attack some of the really bad ones.
Really bad ones that we see that.
Thank you. Councilmember Zat.
Andy, I think you've been tasked with an extremely difficult task, and I think you're unfortunately hurting cats, and I'll say I'm the biggest cat I've known. I haven't made this easy. With that being said, I'm kind of hemming and hawing. I think there are some strategies, and Christine has brought up one that I think generally makes a lot of sense, and resurfacing, I think, in different contexts makes a lot of sense. But if I think about this from a process standpoint and continue to think like, man, I'm not the person to be asking on how to prioritize these, like I'm not the expert. And so part of my questions and thoughts are like, I think your goal here is to try to get a more manageable list to the public. But I want to say like, we should just go the whole list to the public, which I know is a complete different direction and I'm putting you on the spot, but I feel much more comfortable with that thought than us boiling it down and then saying like, this is what you could vote for instead of getting them all options. And I think to Christine's point, we'll filter out stuff of like what the constituents really feel if we do it that way.
Yeah, the intent.
Councilmember Brumley, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think giving them the whole list is just going to be too much for them to process. And then we're going to get to that whole analysis paralysis that Mr. Sells talks about sometimes. I think it's just going to be too much.
Yes.
The intent was to try to get a fiscally constrained list that could be put out for public comment, and we will have an open house here as well to talk about it and get some input from, and I'm sure there will be things that come in from the public of what about this, why don't you do this? Because we will be bringing this back again to committee first meeting of May with what we got from public comment, and at that point, we really will have to have the list to be approved, that this is what we're going to tell Fulton County we want on our list.
All right. Further thoughts or comments at the moment? Yes, Councilmember Sells.
While she does that, let's just talk a little bit about, and I know you talked about this at the top, so, Chris made me think of it. So we're going to have a series of public meetings on this, or one public meeting, or?
Be one public meeting and questionnaire on the internet,
Okay,
outreach that way.
right. And then it will be on the ballot in November?
The list goes to Fulton County at the end of next month, and then it will be on the ballot in November.
Right.
Of course,
And
it will
it's,
come back to you, to
Yes.
this body for approval, final
Final
approval,
list.
for the list to be submitted to Fulton County.
how far in advance of the ballot does it have to be on there? It's pretty.
May 31st.
Okay.
May 31st, we have to have it
Yeah,
in Fulton County.
yeah. Sorry.
Okay, Councilmember Hall?
Yes. For clarity on your constrained staff list, the bright yellow line, you do not have the Roswell Loop that.
Correct.
So you omitted the Roswell Loop concept from there.
We eliminated, as we were going down our prior list, we eliminated several of the multi-use trail projects.
So you're prioritizing operational maintenance of repaving for connectivity for people that really need it.
Yeah.
I know that was a bad way to say that, but just wanted to get that out there.
That is a way to phrase it.
Yep.
Councilmember Sells?
I asked Attorney Google David a question about T-Splost. and this is obviously a gray area, and there's a couple things. There's obviously the policy question and philosophical question, but also what do we think will pass, and because we need the public to be behind it, it has to pass. And it says, Attorney Google says, generally T-Splost funds cannot be used for general maintenance, but T-Splost can be used for repairs, resurfacing, and maintenance of transportation infrastructure. This is the interesting part, particularly in the case of natural disasters. So I think the case that Christina's making is that, these are supposed to be sort of boundary-breaking infrastructural opportunities and things that we want to really, that would be hard to do except with a large pot of money, versus things that we should build into our budget, which clearly the road maintenance is. And when you say we have, what is the average? I can't remember the acronym for that score. What's the average?
PCI?
PCI. So the PCI score of our roads average, do you have an idea what that is on a mile-weighted basis?
I believe it's in the 50s, like mid-50s.
70 is what you would aim at.
Yeah, our goal is kind of get the city at an average of a 70.
And the PCI, just for purposes of discussion, the acronym is Pavement Condition Index. Is that
Right.
correct? Pavement. So there was an analysis, a year or two ago? 2 years ago?
Yeah, several years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, the whole city.
Of the whole city, right, which developed that PCI, which has been primarily used for resurfacing questions annually in terms of developing a list. Yeah.
Well, so the essence of it is that your studied opinion is we need $9 million a year for the next 5 years to get to the same place. That's the question. So do we do it through the budget, or do we do it through T-Splost and make these projects? I mean, that's really what we're talking about here. And, I do agree that I'd like to see maintenance done as maintenance. I'd like us, and as we talk about other things we're going to be talking about in a moment, I think adding things to the maintenance list, we should be very careful about that because it never goes away. So I agree with Christine that it should be projects that we want done, and that should be the top priority. And, I'm sure that list is endless, but that's where our focus should be, is on connectivity and those things that are really going to impact quality of life for our residents, and not primarily for the people who cut through Roswell on their way from Cobb and to Cobb.
Yeah, one more item for the general public as well is the ballot in November is for the entirety of Fulton County. So the entirety of Fulton County will vote on T-Splost, and if it is approved, it's for the entirety of the county. If it's not approved, it's for the entirety of the county. So it's not specific just to the city of Roswell. Obviously, each city is working to develop a list that they will believe will resonate with their particular residents and community, but it is in its entirety. Yes, sir.
The entirety of Fulton County, with the exception of the city of Atlanta, they do their own
Right.
thing.
Yeah, thank you for the clarification, because they've got their own little special carve-out there for several different Greta and Marta reasons and all of that. So thank you for that clarification. Councilmember Hall.
Thank you. Yeah, just a couple of things. We do want our residents to be excited about what we are offering on T-Splost, and we don't want them advocating against T-Splost. Like we've seen that in Gwinnett County and other counties where people have come out against referendums because they were not pleased with what they stood for. So we want to be careful with that. And of course, we want everybody to opine on how they think the funds should be allocated. But also, just in the recent 3 years ago, we also learned, I think we spent $7 million one year on paving It was during Ryan's time when we were here.
Yeah, we did, we got a grant through
Yep.
GTIB.
Yep. So there are opportunities where we, on our own, have done more than $4 or $5 million in paving. When we did that big paving amount, it was very hard to even get that much done because the amount of roads was so big and there's limited capacity with contractors as well. So when we're talking about $9 million a year, we might not even be able to execute that. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
All right, Councilmember Beeson.
Since this is a discussion item, does this require a motion to move forward? What do you need from us?
What I need is a fiscally constrained list that we can put out to the public of here's where we're thinking we're going to go with the final list.
I think all of us each have our copies, so we'll turn them into you to create the constrained list. Is that helpful for you?
It is unless they add up to more than $80 million.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
I didn't know if you want to do that live or do another.
Yeah, there's still some, yeah. There's still some thoughts there. Yes, Councilmember Hall and then Councilmember Zach.
So I think there's about 80% consensus based on the meetings that we've sat in on some of the things. And some of the great things that are on there are the joint projects with, if you may want to speak to those, like the joint projects with Johns Creek and the joint project with Alpharetta,
Yes.
which those projects they're on their T-SPLOS list. So those are kind of the things that I think that, we definitely want. We had the discussion about the bridge, and the other thing we did discuss, and I think there was a good appetite for it in this group, and everybody can speak for themselves, but is to create that connectivity with the Roswell Loop that we've talked about. And we're very, very fortunate that we've been building out the bike ped master plan, and we've gotten this close to be able to connecting it. And it goes through east to west or to central Roswell, through some of the most dense areas. And as Councilmember Beeson mentioned yesterday when we were talking about the Big Creek, it will encompass those areas where many people use other forms than cars to get around and to get to work. So I think it's very important that we look at building out and completing the loop, as we're calling it, or whatever we want to name it.
Thank you. Councilmember Zach.
Yeah, maybe missing the mark on the need to constrain the list, maybe to the exact 80 million as well. Because my understanding is that's what we estimate the total amount to be, right?
We're thinking it's going to come in higher based on what we've found out and others have found out with some of these lists working on projects that are 7, 8, 9, 10 years from concept to design to right-of-way to environmental clearances. Over that 7 years, 7, 8, 9 years, construction costs just skyrocket. I don't think that's going to stop. So hedging bets a little by not trying to encumber all the money we think we might get out of this.
Yeah, and maybe I'm missing the mark on this too, is if our number that we're trying to hit for T-SPLOS is 80, my perception is it makes sense to go to the public with a larger amount than that 80 number so they could kind of vote down to what they want. And kind of to all this, I would say, I don't know, this seems constrained enough, and it seems like Christine had an item that she wanted to add. So I think put Christine's item on, keep resurfacing, and let the public make the decision, and then it's on our job to advocate on what we think is best.
How would they express that decision?
But there's going to be yeah. Thought that was part of the process.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think I understand what you're, Councilmember.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay, all right.
I think it's.
I think what I've heard Councilmember Zach saying is if the public has a list that's, and I'm just using this as a round number, of $110 million of projects, then the feedback that would be brought back to mayor and council would be some level of priority or understanding what the projects should be based on public feedback, and then you can make the determination from that particular list or those items, rather than having just a list that is targeted at $80 million presented to the general public. I think that's what he was saying, but he can certainly address that himself. Councilmember Hall, and then Sells.
Thank you. And just from TS Plus 2, there was a priority ranking of projects. They were not only ranked by, these are the projects we want, TS Plus 2, this is the priority. Do you perceive that happening the same way here, or what are we doing here on 3?
We can certainly go in with, these are the first projects that we'll tackle, and here's the, if more comes in, we can attempt to get to these.
And then can you move money between 1, 2, and 3, 3, 2, and 1?
Yes, you
So we can go up and down, but effectively, the tax dollars for 2 are going to stop on what date?
It would be end of March 2027.
End of March 2027. So whatever's gone into 2 at that point is
Start
done.
going into 3.
And then, but if there was extra money in there, we could always take that and move it up into 3. Is that how it works?
No, that.
You can only move it backwards.
Within 2. Whatever the project list is for T-SPLOS 2.
For 2.
Yes.
So,
With Big Creek being in 2, there's no risk of, at this point, of
having
extra
extra
funds.
funds. But there may be things that come from where we may need extra T3 funds to come back down to 2. We could do that. Is that right? That was, I thought I understood that from Andy.
You're talking about T-Splosh 3.
Yes, if there's extra funds in T-Plus 3, could they be moved down the line to cover something in T-Plus 2 that didn't get covered?
If it's unallocated, like not on a project, then the council could allocate it towards any project.
Because my next question is, there were some pedestrian projects in T-Plus 2. Did they all get done, or are we having to crank these up to 3?
We have several that are on this list that we have not started because we've kind of been pausing because of Big Creek and possibly needing those funds to go towards Big Creek.
Are those part of the loop, or are those outside of the loop
I
segments?
believe the section on Holcomb Bridge is part of like the loop.
So it is part of the loop. So if we covered the loop, then we would cover what we intended to cover in T-Plus 2 that we may not have had the funds for. Thank you.
Councilmember Beeson.
Are you needing us to, you're needing us to narrow down this list, obviously. I think each of us have projects that we want. If you're needing feedback from me, the only project that I feel strongly that I don't necessarily think would be fiscally responsible or necessary at this point is the Ped Bike Barrington Hall pedestrian bridge. It's $9 million. I think by the time it actually goes to market, it's probably gonna be closer to 10. I don't see this as necessary connectivity in an area where you already have a crosswalk and we're already doing section improvements there. Not to mention Gateway Project's gonna be meeting there. There's also an item on here for changing, I can't find it now. Oh, here it is. Program will transition the city's traffic signals from span wire to poles to mast arms. That's to the tune of $10 million. Is not something that we could task the CID with?
I agree with you, Sarah.
Like, that seems like a CID project.
Any intersections within the CID boundary, we could.
Right, so that's something that we could work with them on. Okay.
So, did you take out, did you also take out the bridge?
I did. I took out the pedestrian bridge, resurfacing and mast arms, and we are now down to,
And there was general consensus, I'm hearing general consensus on those 2 items? Is that what I'm hearing?
tell me, I'm sorry, I took those out pretty quickly.
Yes, Councilmember Hall?
Councilmember Beeson had a great suggestion in our prior meetings about the connectivity. I mean, the Barrington Bridge was on there because we were trying to figure out how you connect the gateway to the rest of the city. And Councilmember Beeson basically said, why don't we do the connectivity through the multi-use trails and extend it out there, because Gateway ends at King, and she's got it now extended up to Hillrose. And that's at $3 million, so that's actually.
That's why I was like, wait.
Yeah. Yay.
I know that's an eyeball. I will not be married to that number.
And that is, we are not looking at trying to make that multi-use trail. I think it's impossible through some of that area.
For the great, or the
Just-
cemetery, yeah.
How would I say this nicely? We're trying to make reasonable sidewalks
Yes.
through there. And I think the big saver, if we can get it, is a SS4A grant for Mimosa to do some traffic calming on that, really make that nice, and encourage people, if you're going to walk all the way up that way, step a block over, walk up Mimosa. It's probably nicer than walking next to 9, and you still get to where you're going.
Is there any way you can shrink that a little bit so we can see the full sheet, like top to bottom
Sort
a
of.
bit?
Not really, if you want to read it at all.
So everything in the pink purple, does that include what we need for the Roswell Loop?
It does.
Including that section that was from T-Plus 2?
It does.
Okay, perfect. We just have to,
Right now, this yellow is where I came in tonight with everything that anybody said they'd like us to do. That is also here in this pink. Well, we've taken out resurfacing mast arms and the Barrington Hall Bridge.
oh, okay, there's one more bridge that I think you have in there, is the Cobb County Bridge, is that in there?
Jones Bridge is sitting in here as a yes.
Yes, and we had discussed that as not a priority.
Okay.
Be- It's,
Item number 3. Jones Bridge over Willio Creek.
at one point, and I know things changed, and you shared that Cobb County had changed their position on that. The bridge technically is in Roswell, but it's the connecting bridge to Cobb County, and at one point, Cobb County was willing to participate in that bridge. Yeah, share the cost. So I think that since they're all rated as fair, that bridge be not put on the T-Splost.
We want to take that. So general consensus to take that one out, or
Which number 3, yes.
the Jones Road Bridge? Okay.
However, I don't think we had consensus on resurfacing. I don't think we had consensus on resurfacing. I don't.
Not yet. Let's
Yeah, but
let's
here
come
we
back
go.
to that.
That's what I'm saying. Here I took it out.
Oh, okay.
You may put it back in? Okay.
Well, it's in at 25 million, so leave it out and then maybe,
I think we're going to the public with this.
Yep.
I think the
What's
public.
the total of the yeses?
Total of the yeses. 117.8.
That does not or does include the resurfacing?
that includes the resources.
Does include the resurfacing.
So a question mark gets added as well as a yes?
No, I just changed it to yes.
Sorry, Andy, you have a tough job tonight. You got my,
Councilmember Beeson.
For operations and safety item, Crossville Road, State Route 92 at Crabapple Road. Item 22. 22?
Yes.
I see that one is not a staff recommendation. Is that because the dollar amount is low enough that we could cover that in an annual budget? Part of the reason why I was late today was that intersection, so I would very much like it reassessed. Just asking, because it's comparably much lower. It's $52,000? Is that correct?
It would help to have the pricing there, yeah.
So is that just something that we could essentially put into an annual CIP budget, and that's the reason why it was struck, or is it just not considered a priority?
I believe that one was in the the Transportation Master Plan, but it is on the state route, and that is one of the GDOT corridors
GDOTs.
where they work on timing anyway.
Got it.
So that's
we can
why
take that out.
it really wasn't a staff priority.
Because GDOT could potentially cover it in their cost. Understood, because I was like, that is definitely an intersection that's needed.
I'll go ahead and take
And
that
then
out. We'll
you-
get
What was that?
we'll go ahead and take out the signal timing improvements there. We can get that done. GDOT can help us with that.
Wonderful.
And number 36, nobody seems, other than staff, to have been supporting that. Yeah. Off-system trail, what is that?
So that is there's like an old roadbed. Where it dead ends, and then it meets up with the elementary school along Eves Road.
Oh, that's behind that neighborhood.
Yes. Yeah, I think it was.
That doesn't
identified-
serve a huge public purpose for anybody.
it
That's
was
like a private
identified, I think,
neighborhood
in
road.
T-Splosh. It's on here because it was T-Splosh 2.
Okay.
But this was one
That's
that
where
we.
they were going to build those 6 homes.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Councilmember Zach has been trying to get in here.
Sorry, just a point of clarity. So whatever we decide on your list that gets consolidated, what happens next? Because I think there's some confusion for me as what's the public process, and it'll help me understand what we're working through.
The intent is to take the list you guys come up with tonight, make those pretty pictures of where they are, and go out for public comment on what do you think about these things. It could be something like, was it Alpharetta's we saw today?
Sandy Springs.
Sandy Springs put out, here's their proposed list, and for each of the projects, use a slider bar from 0 to 5 of, I really want you to do this, I don't want you to do that. So we can do that and bring that back.
Okay.
To see, if the things that we think are important in this room, is that what we're hearing from the citizens as well? And what are we missing?
Okay, yeah.
And you will ultimately have the final determination on the list that is approved, that goes to Fulton County, that will be a part of the T-Splosh referendum in November.
Just for my
Yes, sir.
clarity for the room,
Yeah.
we'll go public, the public will give quantitative feedback on what they want, and then we'll come back and then come up with an actual list that will make the ballot.
Final list that we will send to Fulton County that'll be on the ballot.
Yeah, I guess I will go back to, I think if that is our approach, I'm going to push for everything to be on not everything, but, this full list I think is reasonable. And outside of that, I probably won't comment and let everyone else.
Councilmember Beeson?
A couple of the last items on my list that I thought were a priority, but staff disagrees, which is fine. Just wanting to understand the thought process in items 38, 114, and 115. It doesn't look like multi-use trail or pedestrian and bike connectivity heading into the historic district along Norcross was considered a priority. Is there a reason why? Thanks. But it's not listed as a staff priority.
Yep. As we were trying to, yes, as we were trying to get to the $80 million number, multi-use trails took the hit.
Got it.
And we
Okay, so
certainly-
that was of the ones that you were talking about, was
Correct.
the connectivity that took the hit. I understand the thought process behind the repaving and trying to catch up, and it's just a massive operational expense to have to maintain these roads. Like, we will always be behind the 8 ball in terms of road paving. And as anybody who's lived in Atlanta any significant amount of time, it never stops. It's just perpetual repaving. And then when you've hit the end, you just start over again. I'm less concerned with repaving being the highest priority, and I'm more concerned with the pedestrian and bicycle connectivity into our areas that would theoretically service them, just in the sense that there's the density there that justifies it. The connectivity for items 38, 114, and 115 are areas that are residential serving. So residential areas that go into retail, F&B, commercial areas, offices, that theoretically you would want to get people out of their cars. Also less strain on parking in the downtown district. So I would much prefer trying to prioritize the ped bike connectivity into the historic district along corridors that theoretically people would use. That's just me.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, Mayor Robichaux?
And I'm not, but there again, I think I would prefer that we leave the resurfacing in, because this should also be, the citizens should also make part of that determination. Not every citizen wants to ride a bike. There are lots of roads, if you're on Oxbow, that when you're on that road, it is like traveling on a railroad track, and it is very heavily traveled. There are lots of roads like that. I think we need something to catch up. Maybe it's not 25 million, and that's what the citizens can have a voice and vote on. We're making assumptions that, we've heard from certain groups of citizens want this, some want that, but I think if we give them a larger list, like Councilmember Zach, I know you want it small, I appreciate that. We may not get it because part of this is, if we are truly going for citizen input, we shouldn't limit what they want to give us back as input. That's a personal perspective.
All right?
117
Is
per
there,
se.
maybe we can find a couple more that we all agree on, and that it will be over the 80, but it's still keeping the resurfacing? What do you guys?
And then it's going to the public to
Yes,
allow for.
exactly. Yeah, so if we have this,
Let's take this list.
Yeah, I think that's where we are.
If this list has some resonance with the elected body, this could be the list, in theory, that is placed before the public for public input and feedback. And then again, you'll receive that input and feedback, it will come back to you to make the final determination.
So we,
It's difficult just because the numbers, and I know you've hidden lines. How many projects are we giving them to look at?
so if we go with what we started with when I came in here, there were 25 projects that somebody in this room, either staff or council, said, I think this is worth doing. It's 143 million. The pink is that. Yep, they weren't counting. They weren't counting, it has to be a yes. If we go with the 117, we've removed some and we don't have 25. We have 19. Yep, have 19, 21, sorry. Mouse jumped. We have 21 projects for 117 million.
Is that good enough?
I mean, well, at this point, if we want, do you want to send all 25 out to the public for comment, or do you want to trim it down to the 21?
I think what we're suggesting was column M.
Column M? We've taken out Jones Road, we've taken out Mast Arms, taken out Crossville at Crabapple, taken out Barrington Hall pedestrian
And you
bridge.
left the repaving in for the sake of public discussion, correct?
Left,
So that takes everything off. I'm good with that.
If that, Councilmember Hall, question, Councilmember Hall?
During the public input piece of this, if the public, will they have an opportunity to write something in? Should there be something that we're completely missing?
yes, I'm thinking at the end of the survey, and when we have an open house here, one of the questions is, what things do you really, really, really not want us to do, and what are we missing that we really should be doing?
Okay. Yeah, as long as
Bring
there's that opportunity.
back. So we'll have another fun one of these when we get all that together too.
There will be a question of like, what do you really want, right? Not what you don't want, but what you,
What do you really, really want?
okay.
You said it's a Likert scale, right? Was it, does it say the Springs did? The sliding scale
Yeah.
of 1 to 5?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, there's a pretty simple website, just
Yeah.
all the projects listed. You can link over to get the project description, and then 0 to 5. What do you think?
I'm good.
So is the consensus of the council, the list listed that we currently see here with 117 plus million dollars, this is the list that would go to the public for their comment, feedback, input, and consideration, and then that feedback will come back to you and you'll make a final determination. Is that what I'm hearing from the council? Is that, everybody's good with that? Okay.
Are you questioning?
Sorry.
I
And
just have,
question-
I want to add one thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, but I would like some better maps that show, and I have a concept of how the maps, just to show the connectivity and the loops and the sections, because it's, even the way we have them, it's very confusing, but just so that it's very clear.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Zach?
Just one comment. My preference would be just to go out with column L, but I know that's not the consensus. So assuming I made a motion and get denied, I'm in consensus for them.
And I will package the MUT projects that make each of those loops. I'll make sure that is one line item, that if you want this line item, it does that south loop. If you want this line item, it will finish that middle loop.
Yeah, and let's just assume the federal funding
Correct.
for that.
What,
Councilmember Sales.
can we assume that we all agree that the ones that others have on their T-Splosh that we're working with, those are locked in? Those are not negotiable? Is that a fair point?
I agree.
How many are there? 3?
Two, it's, so Nesbit Ferry Road, that's joint with Johns Creek. It was on T-Splosh 2. Roswell's portion on T-Splosh 2 was pretty minimal. Johns Creek is asking for more of a 50-50, since it is our road. I think the goal is to kind of finish out roundabout at Rivermont or Colony Club Drive is about to be under construction now. And then they are also they're in design for some multi-use trail on the northern side that actually connects up to Nesbit Lakes from Brumbelow.
Right.
And then there's kind of the piece then in between from Brumbelow down to Colony Club Drive. That would be what we would be kind of finishing out the corridor with multi-use trail and some other intersection improvements.
So if we have consensus on that, you guys can sort of put those to bed, tell Johns Creek we're in other words.
Yeah, then
Wait, I think we have more comments here. Councilmember Sales, were you finished there?
Yeah.
Okay. Councilmember Bromley.
I don't think we can make that decision because it still needs to go to the public, right? Like, I'm good with that, but it has to go to the public to see.
We'll send it.
I mean, we're already sending it here on
Yes.
this list to the public, but I don't think we can say already to Johns Creek, go ahead and do it.
Well, of course, that's immediately until it's passed. Doesn't immediately until it's passed by us and then the public in a vote, and then in Fulton County, there's a whole lot of things to do. But I think we should agree that if our partners are doing this, we need to do this. These are, and I don't know how much money we're talking about there.
it's around 7.
Yeah.
We could definitely let them know that it is on the table and seems favorable from our elected officials.
I guess I would ask,
Mayor Robichaud, yeah.
on this Nesbit Ferry Road, I'm confused. In the original, what percentage of that is Roswell based versus Johns Creek based? I understand improvements, concepts, and yet I thought I heard someone say they're now asking us to pay 50% of whatever improvements, even though most of the improvement or sidewalks per se are on the Johns Creek side, or am I misunderstanding something?
So the road is our road.
I understand.
It's our
Trust me, I live right on, yeah.
We have sidewalk gaps on our side.
Right.
They have sidewalk gaps on their side.
Right.
There are large utility poles along there.
Right.
The multi-use trail is probably going to switch sides occasionally. It's not necessarily going to be dedicated on.
And there's cemeteries on both sides, you know.
Yes, up near
toward the-
Mount
yeah.
Pisgah, yes.
Yeah, by Mount Pisgah. We just also, didn't we also give part of the monies to put in that new light at Nesbit Lake, or was that purely on Johns Creek?
The HOA put in, the Nesbit Lakes HOA put that money in.
Okay.
The city executed it and installed the light, but the
But
city of Roswell HOA.
I guess I'm still wondering, on the project itself, what percentage is Roswell? And I'm not trying to not work with our partners, but I'm just asking for a percentage if we know it. If it's 50-50, that's one thing. If it's 70-30, that's a little bit of a concern for me, that we then pay 50% of it, but it's technically only 30%.
All right. Do we have
I'd
that
like to know
information, or we
that.
need to get
We
that?
could get that.
All right, let's get.
We'll get that.
All right, let's get that information for clarity. All right. So, we can perhaps circle back here. I believe there was general consensus on $117 million, the $117 million list, part of the public discussion, and placed in the public domain for feedback and comment and input. Is that correct? Everybody good? I see.
And what's the goal number that we need to end up with?
85-ish.
80-ish.
They're working off of the very conservative number, which I think is like $660 million over the how many is it, 5-year period?
So, yeah, I think our projected revenues are around 95 million.
Right. I'm talking about in total for Fulton County. They're working, they had a a moderate or low target, midpoint, and then, you know, something that was much more ambitious. Yeah, something like that. Okay. All right, everybody good? Wonderful. Great discussion. Thank you. All right, we'll move this item forward and make sure that we get a revised list back out to the council, the elected body, right? All right. Item number 8. Discussion of the Riverside Park spray ground being converted from a flow-through water system to a recirculating water system. That will be, I have Mr. Malone. Mr. Malone. Oh, there he is. Popped up there almost.
Stuck in here. Sorry about that, sir.
I'm looking for you. All right, Mr. Malone.
Yes, good evening. Thank you. Tonight, the topic for discussion is Riverside spray ground, specifically the mechanical system associated in the design at Riverside Park. To give you a little context, what is a spray ground? It's an interactive zero-depth aquatic feature, uses spray elements designed for safety and accessibility, and there are 2 types of systems within the industry. They are labeled as a flow-through or a recirculating system. So those are the names of the 2 that are out there that are available to us. A little bit of background on this item. Staff was requested to provide background on the evaluation of the 2 spray ground systems specific to the Riverside Park design, and then to analyze the cost and operational impacts of converting the system from a flow-through system, which is currently designed, to a recirculating system. To give you a little definition and background of what the systems are, this is the flow-through system currently in the design. The definition is a system where water is used once and discharged, not reused. Water flows directly from the supply to the spray features and then into the drainage that is designed. No collection, filtration, or recirculation. Typically drains into sanitary sewer, or in this case, stormwater management processes. Single-use water system, no filtration or treatment equipment is required. It has simpler infrastructure and controls. It does have lower upfront construction costs and minimal mechanic mechanisms. Operational considerations, this is number 1, higher water consumption. The per season annual consumption for the flow-through system is 1.9 to 2.5 million gallons of water. That is comparable to the annual water usage of approximately 13 to 17 average households, to give you some context. It does offer a potential for a lower staffing requirements, no on-site operator needed. Reduced maintenance, meaning there's not the pumps and the mechanical elements that will go bad, so less maintenance associated with it. Lower risk of water quality management, since it's a flow-through system. It is fresh water coming out of all of the apparatuses. It does allows for timer control, which means we, the city, can set the automated system so it sets when it can come on and when it has to be off. So it automates that process for us so that it can allow someone to be out there at 10 o'clock at night. This is the recirculating system definition. It's a system where water is collected, treated, and then reused continuously. It is water that is captured in a holding tank, filtered, chemically treated, and pumped back to the spray features. It operates almost very similarly to a swimming pool. The key characteristics, it's a closed loop system, includes pump, filters, chemical treatment systems. It requires a balance tank, mechanical room, and perimeter fencing around the features. It has a more complex design because of all that mechanical elements that go with it and the infrastructure. It does have a higher initial construction cost. Operational considerations is it has a much lower water consumption volume, approximately 30 to 35,000 gallons per season. It requires continuous water quality monitoring, which means we have to keep up with chemical controls and balance of the water. Because of that, it does require a trained staff operator on site when it's open and operating. It does have a higher maintenance cost associated with it. Again, that's just because of the chemicals and the mechanical mechanisms. And it has an ongoing cost for those chemicals and staffing. We are able to turn that system on manually to kind of go on and off. So that's more of a manual system. This gives you some of the data for the 20-year life cycle cost comparison. the flow-through system and the recirculating system there in the grid. You'll see the install costs, the 20-year maintenance costs that include the water utility usage breakout, the staffing requirements, and the 20-year total. You'll see that the total cost over the 20 years for the flow-through system is $1,238,535, and the recirculating system is $2,111,857. So if we were to convert from the flow-through to the recirculating system, these are some of the project impacts that you could expect. The initial total estimated immediate cost increase would be $366,622. The breakdown of that is the analysis charge that's being gone back to Star White House, was being charged to construction admin, the redesign of the system itself, $26,925, construction cost increase, $177,717, and then the additional site improvement requirement with a 20% contingency of $157,980. To give you the project timeline, if we did change the system, this would result in an estimated 20 to 24-week delay to the current project timeline due to that redesign, permitting, and construction adjustment. This anticipates the project completion would shift from July to December of 2027. The contractor is currently on hold awaiting our decision before they can move forward with these elements. Design and permitting impacts, changing the system to the recirculating system because of all the mechanical aspects does require a pump house building that would be approximately 20 feet by 8 feet and 9 feet tall. This would likely be added to the park layout between the proposed spray ground location and the parking lot. The recirculating system would require additional permitting through Fulton County because they do consider this like a swimming pool. So we would have to go through the Fulton County Board of Health, which kind of has an unknown time delay there. We're not sure what that permitting lead time would take. And then a perimeter fence would be required by code for the recirculating system. So next steps. So tonight, staff is seeking direction from mayor and council on which spray ground system to proceed with. These are kind of the action items that could come next if dependent on that decision. The flow-through system that is currently in design would require no action. The recirculating system staff would recommend bringing a $366,000 budget amendment for final approval at the April 27 mayor and council meeting, if that were the direction given to staff.
Councilmember Beeson, and then we'll get everybody here. Councilmember Hall and Brumley.
This is going to be more fun than T-Splost.
Can you go back to the pump house requirements? Based on those specs, could that not be incorporated within the bathrooms building as opposed to it being a freestanding building?
It would. We do not have that much open space within the bathroom buildings that are currently designed.
Got it. Okay. So it would not be able to be incorporated in that design.
Correct.
Thank you.
As well as it would have to be a standalone system, meaning it could not be attached to another asset. It would have to be standalone.
Oh, that's a requirement.
Yeah, I believe because of the chemicals that are stored and things, you can't have that.
Okay.
Councilmember Hall and then Brumley. Councilmember Hall. Oh, I'm sorry, here.
Can you put up a map? Do you have a map? A visual of the site?
And while you're doing that, so for those that that are newer and may not know, I mean, the whole concept of this, when we design this, we are a natural place. I mean, this is Roswell Visitor Center. Our logo, motto, whatever it is, come to your natural place. This is turning this into a swimming pool with swimming pool rules, with chemicals, with the safety of the children. I dove into this and did quite a bit of research in many communities, and the people that use this, the fecal matter that goes through these recirculating things and the amount of chemicals that they have to put in there and the amount of time they have to shut down to flush the systems because they're contaminated with fecal matter it's just not even something that I believe we would even want to consider as we're building out this beautiful natural park where we did native plants in the ASAN 2. Everything is natural, a natural garden area for children. This is right by the Chattahoochee. You've got chemicals that will be leaching potentially into the Chattahoochee. I just can't even believe we're having this conversation after all that was done to create this beautiful, natural, healthy space. And, and this spray ground that folks wanted as part of the design. So I'll just leave it at that for now.
Councilmember Brumley?
So I started looking at the Riverside Park design when I became liaison, and I was here at the meeting where the project was approved last December. So I went back and I couldn't find a work session on this specific plan. And then I was told that there was no work session, so the public didn't have a view of it before it was approved. I went to the document that was released to be approved, and the only thing that it says there is that it's going to be a free and open spray ground. There was nothing that said that this was going to be changed. So it's kind of confusing because right now, well, obviously it was demolished, but the spray ground, it is a recirculating one, just like the East Roswell one is. And it's being changed completely to a free flow. I don't have the problem with having a free flow. I understand all the design concerns and all that. But unfortunately, we are dealing with huge environmental impacts. This is water, if we leave it as a free flow, is water that is not being reclaimed. That should have been part of that design. If the meaning was, let's just make it open and stuff, we should, as Roswell, which we are so proud about keeping our trees and our environment, and we love, I forgot to bring it, but I have a booklet in my office with Drippy, who goes to city council to talk about water conservation. Yet we will be literally just dumping water every year in the Chattahoochee River at a time where we are, and they just told us today, we're about to hit level 1 drought in Fulton County. That combined for 30 years is not something that we should be doing. I understand there's going to be a delay. I understand that costs are higher, but we have to think about the reality is cities around us are dealing with not having enough water. Lake Lanier is very, very low right now. And we will be using potable water, again, potable water, to play with this while some people don't even have that. I understand about the chemicals, they will go, we just went to the plant, and they will be cleaned. It is the same chemicals that we use at East Roswell Park and at the pool, at the Roswell area pool. So it's nothing that is bad for people's health. Also, this project has no attendant. And I think that is important. To your point about the fecal matter, is that right now, it is an attendant that is checking that the little ones are wearing swimming diapers, which help contain in case of an accident. But also, if there's an accident, there's a person on site that immediately can close it and start the cleanup process. If we move to this open, free flow with no attendant, and there is, first, the kids won't be wearing swimming diapers because they just won't. Second, if there is an accident, that fecal matter will start washing everywhere until it eventually gets pushed by the playing of this. It could be that it stays there overnight because, if the accident happens at 4:59 and we turn off the timers at 5 o'clock, there is nobody there to say, hey, there was an accident there, to report it because there is no attendant. Once you add an attendant to the free flow system, the numbers are basically the same if you go to that comparison, because 800,000 of that is just the numbers are basically the same. I don't think fiscally and environmentally the way that this design change was done works. Now, I understand that we wanted it to be open, but again, because of health concerns, which is good, that's why we have that fence, to make sure that our children are safe, that people, don't just vomit and it stays there, that people don't give dogs a bath. People could just come and start giving their dogs a bath right there. We have people who do, bikers around. They could just go in there and start, cleaning up or run, after a run, cleaning up. And there's nothing that will prevent that from happening. And I have, lots of messages from people who have worked there and have seen all these horror stories that are happening right now with an attendant with a fence. I want to make sure that we are doing right to our citizens and help them to be safe and healthy and to save the water from. And again, this was not sent to the public. So this is the first time I saw it after I asked a question about, can you give me the details? I think if you had put this information to the public with a work session, people, for example, like Keep Roswell Beautiful or other organizations will have made their concerns known. So, and that's why I'm bringing it to you. And I understand there is a cost and I understand there is a delay, but I'm asking the question, are we really doing this? Or right now we're in a place where we could fix a mistake and change course?
Councilmember Beeson, then Councilmember Zach.
Second comment, not weighing one way or another on it. I understand the concern about chemicals and treating it. That's how they treat wastewater, is chlorinating. So depends on your area, not everybody, but it's a tertiary cycle. So scrape out poop, treat water, and then when they treat the water, it could be UV, it could be chlorination, but that's one of the treatment cycles. So it's not necessarily a questionable chemical in that regard.
Councilmember Zach.
Stephen, when's your drop dead date that you need a decision on this? Is it tonight?
Currently, the contractor has stopped working in this area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor I'm sorry. Councilmember Zach, were you finished or? Yes. Okay. Mayor Robichaux?
So, what I also heard a statement of, obviously, if there is an accident, if it is a attended facility, it's like a pool. You kind of clean it. Everybody has to get out clean. So, since we obviously have been running 2 spray parks now for I don't know how many years, what % of the time does that happen at the spray parks currently?
We typically will have to do what's called kind of shocking the system. There's
Right, I know. How often?
We are doing that 2 to 3 times a season.
2 to 3 times a season. So not every day.
No, that's
Once a
just when
week.
there'd be
So
what we would consider to be a contamination that would
Correct.
be shut it
So
down.
when we talk about % of this spray, whichever system down, it's really negligible one way or the other. Kind of.
The flow through doesn't require a shock, I will say.
Right, but again, we're going to have accidents in both. Let's be
Correct,
honest. It's
correct.
children.
Correct.
So, but what I'm saying is, one, the flow-through system, we're just expecting it to naturally walk away, or responsible parents to clean up, but it would still have to be naturally washed away. Versus in the recycling system, we do some testing, but if it is not to a level that you have to quote-unquote close it down and shock the system, it still runs.
Correct.
Okay. So that the concept of the percentage of time it would be shut down because we have a recirculating system is really negligible.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. It is all based on chemical balance.
Councilmember Brumley?
So I don't think I have the answer for this, but we have established that the water for that spray ground does not come from Fulton County. It comes from Roswell, I believe. That's what I was told at 3 on 3.
Where is that? Yeah, let's.
I'll defer to our.
That's the contingent in the back there. The question, whose water is it at this location at Riverside Park? Is it City of Roswell or Fulton County?
Okay, you mentioned the other day that it was Roswell. So and the reason is because if it's Fulton County, I'm sure if they declare a drought, this will be one of the items that you can't just start using water during the drought. So it wouldn't be so.
It's the same as irrigation.
Correct.
Recirculating or free flow. If there's a drought, you don't run it.
Correct, but if it's recirculating, you can fill it up and then keep on using it. It's like a car wash, right? They keep using.
No, Brian, can you come up, Brian? Yeah.
Look, this is why I was like, I don't have the answer for this.
Yeah, so if it's, right now, when we say that Fulton County, so they're, right now, Georgia EPD, actually today we were on a call, and they're evaluating drought conditions. There is a projection that EPD may classify a level 1 drought here in the next few weeks. Level 1 means that education will have to start occurring. Doesn't mean that there's going to be that they will go into restrictions. As those levels go higher and the restrictions start getting to a higher level, then what will happen is irrigation in any non-water that's being used for basically drinking water will have to be shut off. So whether it's a recirculating system or a flow-through system, those will have to stop.
Close the pools as well when there's a drought?
They close pools when there is a drought.
Okay.
So it would be equal when it comes to that, but they haven't declared a drought yet, so just want to be careful. It's only almost a level 1.
All right. Councilmember Sells?
So a couple questions. First of all, I would like to point out that we live in almost a rainforest. We get 75 or 80 inches of rain a year, as compared to Denver, which is about 30. The number of rain days in Georgia is significantly higher. We're talking about a problem in arid areas. This is not a problem in Roswell. So this is just virtue signaling and moral preening. That's what this is. Where does this water come from? Comes out of the Chattahoochee, right?
Yes.
Fulton County's pulling it out of the Chattahoochee just as we do?
I think that is where they pull. I'd actually have to ask, do they pull from Chattahoochee or are they pulling from, actually don't, so.
And it's going back into the Chattahoochee?
It is going back to the Chattahoochee, that's correct. That goes out of the Big Creek Water Reclamation Plant.
Okay, so my view on this is it's just completely virtue signaling. The most important question to me is that this is a 22, almost a half a year delay, correct?
That's
About
correct.
6 months.
Yeah. I would have to assume as a business person that this puts our contract prices at risk, that we would potentially be impairing the whole project is certainly a risk. They will certainly have a right. We're already in privity with these contracts, so do they have a right to retrade if we change scope of work, which this would have to be a scope change?
That's a, you want to answer or you want me? Yeah, you want me to. It's difficult. So right now, the contractor's at a place, to Councilmember Zach's point, they're at a hold because the next thing that they would need to do is lay all the utilities. So they're at a hold in terms of their construction project right now. We have said that this may come about. We have projected what we think the cost implications could be, but yes, because
Of the specific addition, but not the implications to the larger project.
that's correct. We would still have to work with them. We stopped them at a good point, if you will, but the contractor would still have the ability to request more funds because this is a change to their scope. Because what they bid on was a 500-day project, and this will definitely take it. This is estimated 20 to 24 weeks. Hopefully that work. And that 20, 24 weeks, what Director Malone was talking about, one of the unknowns is the Fulton County permitting. Hopefully it can go quick, but the permitting aspect in here. So that 20 to 24 weeks is assuming kind of the general conditions that we've seen in terms of permits. But it can take longer. And the longer that it goes, it will also cause more issues with dealing with the contractor.
In particular, construction costs and material costs and things like that. If I'm them, I'm coming back to you if I have a price increase.
We would have to go back into the contract, but there is a potential that could occur.
Right, okay. So to me, that's the big risk. And it seems to me that aside from this, there's a risk to the whole project. I mean, this was designed to be part of an open space open playground. It's not an attended, it was never attended. And as I understand it, you'd have to put up a fence. You have to have a lifeguard, essentially, right? You have to have a lifeguard at this facility. So the whole character of that park is now changed because we now have, instead of an amenity that's part of a natural setting and part of the whole process of the park, we have this amenity, or this thing that's going to be an attended spray park for treated as a pool. And I assume, I believe you said, because you've been on Facebook about this a ton, that you believe that we should charge for this. Is that right?
Did not say that, but we currently charge like a minimal fee to use the spray ground, so it's no, but just because you have it with the fence doesn't mean you have to charge.
No, I didn't say that, but you would suggest that we should to cover the costs?
It's what it's on right now. We could do that, or we could make it free. I mean, we are adding 3 attendants to Old Park Mill to to control access, and we're not charging, so I'm not setting policy right now.
Okay, so we'll bear the
can
cost
go
or
one
charge
way
for
or
the
the
cost either
other.
way. I mean, it's changing the whole nature of what this project set out to be. And I also want to push back on this conversation that we had meetings with the public about the park, correct? There were charrettes about the park itself and the design of the park, correct?
Ad nauseum,
There were several conversations
in a good way.
with regards to the charrette of the park, as well as the River Park Master Plan being part of that catalyst.
So I asked, and nobody has it with them, which I understand. I didn't know we were going to get this deep into the weeds here, or this deep into the poop. But in any event, we don't have a picture of this. I'd like to see what this looks with and without, because I think this changes the character of that space. This is a natural park on a river. This is going to make it different, to my mind. So I'd like to see that. I would like to see what that's going to look like.
You're talking about just for my clarity, like a concept of.
Well, even what we're talking about, is it going to be in the same exact spot? Where's the building going to be? Those kinds of things.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So the potential proposed from the design firm where that structure would go would be the pump house, the mechanical room.
And the fence and the whole 9 yards. I mean, it has a different view. From a riverside park to an amenity for kids playing, as opposed to, walking through a spray lane or whatever the case may be. That's quite different.
Actually, your slide was the stock slide of the spray ground in the beginning of your presentation, was it not?
I think that's what we're getting pulled up.
Okay, you have a stock slide and you have the concept of what the target, of what the public bargained for.
The view shed.
What they thought they were getting. That's the difference.
Councilmember Beeson and then Councilmember Brumley. Councilmember Beeson?
I have 2 questions, theoretically short. Are you aware of if the Alpharetta spray ground is free flow or recirculating? I would assume it's free flow, right?
The one adjacent to their pool at Willis Park.
Oh, they have 2.
Yeah.
That one or the one in downtown Alpharetta?
The one that I'm thinking about that is at their pool structure is definitely recirculating. It's connected to their pool system.
The pool system.
Correct.
But the one that's in downtown Alpharetta next to the parking deck that the kids go play in next to their little green space?
Yes, that's flow through because that doesn't have a fence around it and
it's
open
not
to the public. Correct.
maintained.
Yes.
So there is a precedent nearby, but I assume that's a smaller scale than what we're anticipating for our project?
I can't visualize what's there, but I would imagine based on the space, I would say yes.
Got it. So was it typical to have a project of this scale be free flow, or given the size of the spray ground that we're anticipating?
Don't know that I have a good answer to that question.
Understood.
Based on what the industry dictates, I don't think it's any more or less. I think it's just based on the space we had available and dedicated for this.
And then understanding the delays to the project, we move it from July of 27 to December of 27. Is that the full project's completion date or just the spray ground's completion date?
Full project.
So do we currently have any programming set up for Riverside Sounds or anything like that we were anticipating for that second half of the season?
We have not booked anything yet. There was the conversation taking a look at the closer construction timeline to see if there'd be a possibility to do a hybrid Riverside Sounds in 27.
Okay.
So that was some of the conversation that was happening.
Because otherwise it would be a full loss for that season as opposed to a half loss, correct?
If the construction went to December, we would be unable to produce any Riverside Sounds.
Understood, thank you.
Councilmember Philippi.
So I have to admit, I came into this conversation pretty set on needing to move to recirculating, but you guys have brought up some good points. I am very concerned about, water usage in general. It is something that's being talked about globally, and there is the potential that at some point, there could be further restrictions put on. I mean, it could just not be available, right? I have read that it is possible to put in the flow-through system with some retrofitting for some attachments or something where it could potentially be retrofitted in the future for a recirculating system. Are you familiar with that?
I'm not. I definitely wouldn't say that that's impossible that I've heard, but I'm unaware.
I mean, I just wonder if it's possible to look into, so that we don't delay the project, so that we can move forward with the flow-through system. What do those retrofit pieces look like? What is the cost with that? Is that something that is a little bit more feasible? So perhaps we could retrofit it down the line at some point if that's what we choose.
I'd be happy to look into it.
One more. So with the flow through, and there's still some concern about the maintenance of the spray ground place. What is the expectation of regular park staff in terms of the cleanliness of that? Or, I don't know, are we, any kind of concerns that we would have the attendant for there with the others other than just the water quality? What are they expected to do?
So our intended operation plan would be to incorporate this into what we consider to be our park's routine maintenance. So think of the things where they show up at the morning, make sure everything is picked up, clean, trash is emptied, everything's done. We call that routine. Have them check back at different intervals throughout that day, doing those same checkpoints. So this would become a new asset that they would be responsible for visually checking on and determining if there were anything that needed to be addressed at that time. As well as, I would say, easily at the beginning and the end of the day, we would be looking at what that in-between would look like, what the frequency of that individual that would be checking in. But we would not be bringing in potentially hourly attendance that we've done when it was required to have an operator on site.
Is there any kind of way to, I'm just wondering, if there is some sort of accident there in between those visits, how can we set up something where residents can notify us, or would they do it just through the app? How do we?
Yeah.
Like
a phone number posted?
Yeah. I think we would obviously have some contact and rules language, just like we would anywhere, to have that. I would say that there's always the ability to come back, even with the flow-through system, to look at if an attendant is required to be there to manage through that. There's always that opportunity. There's just the hourly cost and the budget that goes with that. So that would just have to be part of the consideration.
Councilmember Beeson.
To Councilmember Philippi's point, for potentials for later future retrofits, and this might be a Brian question more than a Stephen question, is there potential for having a capture system for the gray water to use that for irrigation?
The answer would be yes. So so either one of those, I think it could be a good idea to look at if there's a retrofit, it's still going to be a delay and there's still going to be a cost for the design.
Okay.
So, and I'm just saying, any of these, right now, the contractor, if we do not, go back and say, move forward.
You're modifying the scope.
We're modifying scope. The potential that we're going to be modifying the contractor scope, the answer would be, I don't know, because we don't know what we do. There is where we would have to there's going to be a cost to re-engage the designer to make sure whatever we look at, whether it's, retrofitting or putting in a holding tank, I would think that that if we want to be prepared for either, and this is just guessing, I've never built a recirculating tank, but I've done things where there's recirculating water, that if you want to prepare for the future, that you're still going to have to buy the equipment, you're going to have to get prepared. So it may not be just a quick, easy retrofit if you don't plan for it now. So there's going to be, I would assume, some cost that would have to go, whether it's a retrofit or what you're talking about. But as of right now, any delay, and that's the honest thing, any delay at this point, the contractor is now, we have to adjust their contract.
So understanding our concerns, right, with the water usage, and you see us trying to solution where we're not delaying or increasing costs at this moment, but we're looking for solutions for either recapturing the water or some sort of solution like that going forward. Do you have any other ideas that we haven't come up with that we could explore?
Related to conservation?
Yes. Or can you think of any, maybe not on the spot?
We don't know what we don't know.
Yes. Can you help us?
Hey, that's a tough one. I mean, there was reasons early on why the flow-through system, and I understand. Believe me, I understand that on both sides of this. I think that if we, I think council just needs to recognize that it's okay, if we want to look at something else, and these are some good ideas, if we want to look at something else, we just got to expect that there's most likely going to be, well, there is going to be a cost component that we have to come back. Whether it's just design or if it's going to be design and construction, really. And time, absolutely. We're even beyond, but we're early enough in the project that the contractor, if we were to say go now, they can pick up the days if we don't have any change at this point.
Perhaps we remove the spray ground in a future date and not have the spray ground. If water becomes such a.
We can just turn it off. That would be the easier thing if it's in.
Councilmember Brumley.
And so I just want to reiterate that the reason I'm bringing this is because this final design was not presented to the public. It was just directly voted on. So all these details, and because if you look at this, I don't see any changes. All the minutia on how these, everybody thought that it was just going to be the same thing, right? We had a recycling one. We're just going to do it again. People don't know how the mechanics are. But this was not presented to the public, therefore they didn't. I understand that there were charrettes for the original, for the design, but this was not presented before a vote. And so these are why that is the reason why I'm bringing all these questions. And I'm trying to ask what were the reasons behind this specific detail, because if the public had known, perhaps things would have been able to change before the construction started. So I just want to tell everybody why the reason why I brought this up. To me, it's a concern, but I do understand that this was already voted on. So just set up.
Yes, Councilmember Sells.
It's called governance. And the fact is, we have a budget. We had a limited amount of money to spend on the parks, and you have more park needs than we had budget in the bond offering that we did. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
You guys have been in this game a lot longer than I. We presented the design, we presented this whole plan, the whole parks master plan was discussed numerous times. This particular thing was discussed. Did we ask the public how we should do the paving and how we should do the water park? No, we probably did not do that specifically. We talked about a park, and they trusted those who know how to do things to get this done under budget and on time, and that's how we got here. So it has been discussed with the project, with the public, and then decisions had to be made based on the money that we had to achieve the objectives that we had. That's called governance, and perhaps we should break some of it out.
Yes, Councilmember Philippi.
So we're setting times that the system's going to be on, right? And it flows constantly the whole time, or is there a button to press when people want to turn it on?
We have activators, so
Okay.
when there's no activity, it will not be on.
It won't
It would
pop.
actually
Okay.
allow the kids to touch it, and it will turn different sections within it. There's
So
actually
it's not
3
just
sections.
flowing all day with
Correct.
no one there
Correct.
using it? Okay.
It's a cycled type of system.
Okay, we're going to have defined hours, seasonal calendar, weather-based shutoffs, I assume, would be incorporated because maybe people aren't going to be out there using it.
And so with the hours, it'll shut off at night. And I am reading that it is possible for us to retrofit for stormwater or gray water capture for irrigation at a later date. So.
Yeah, so, but there still would be a cost to that.
There would,
Right.
but we don't have to plan for it right now. We could just be like, oh, this is on our radar. We want to monitor the water usage. I mean, I'm sure that we can put together a water usage report for this location, right?
Well, to be metered, so,
Yeah,
yeah, we'll
okay.
easily be able to do that, but I think it should also be noted that the design of the park right now, when the water comes out of the spray ground, it doesn't just go everywhere. It actually is collected and feeds down to the storm drain. So, any of the water that is not used, it's making it to a storm drain, so just,
Well, that's a helpful detail.
this should go into a storm drain.
Not directly.
Yeah,
Not yet.
it'll go to the storm drain, to the treatment center, and
Yeah.
then be released back into Chattanooga.
Well, real quick, while we're on that note, because while you're pulling that up, as you're talking about the capture, because I'm been sitting here staring at this picture of all the amphitheater lawns, the event lawns.
Yeah.
There's a lot of places that you're going to be watering, which would be an additional expense of more water that we would be purchasing, as opposed to having an additional water cost or water usage. We could theoretically create a capture basin at a later date, understanding that's an additional cost for a different phase that could be rechanneled back into the irrigation for watering the landscaping, correct? Yeah. Okay.
Do we currently irrigate here? Councilmember Hope, do we currently irrigate? Currently, or not currently, as in it's all wiped out, but I mean.
Yes, there's current irrigation.
It is, okay.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna have to water that lawn, otherwise it's gonna look terrible. Grass dies. And that's better.
Near the water. All right, well, okay. Any questions, comments related to this item? We were seeking direction from the council. And to that end, do we have any other further questions or comments or motion? Nope.
I'll make a motion.
Yeah, and I'll second
Okay.
his.
Motion, by- or Councilmember Sells, what is?
One
Yes,
comment.
Or Mayor Roberson.
So I do want to just clarify, sorry? I do just want to clarify, I understand governance, but I also understand this vote was taken after an election when everyone knew the administration would be changing, but yet the vote continued. And obviously also, we also have to consider, I think, as new members, we have the right to ask. We're not trying to play games nor be something. We came in with also some thoughts and concepts different from the prior administration, which is our right.
Absolutely.
And to ask this, then to be made to feel when a council who had been voted basically out, they knew they were going to no longer be in control in less than a month, went ahead and took a vote and basically encumbered the incoming council and mayor with some decisions. So let's all just be very honest.
And you'll do the
that
same
that's-
thing.
Well, we'll see.
You'll do the same thing.
We'll see in 4 years, won't we? But that's a different story. But I'm saying, I think we need to be careful as we all work together when we are also trying to do what we were elected to do from our perspective.
Which is to govern.
Which is to govern, and to govern means to ask questions, to understand the processes, to figure out what things may have been voted on by a prior administration and approved that we now, as the new government, want to consider changing. And that's all I'm
Absolutely.
going to say, so thank you.
Yes. We did vote on it. That is true. And,
Randy, could you call this to order? Let's take this offline.
sorry?
Let's take this offline.
This is what we do, my friend.
Sorry, the antagonistic part is what we do?
Sorry?
The antagonistic part is what we do?
Yeah.
Let's take it
Ready
offline.
for a motion, sir?
I still am. I motion that we move forward with the project as it exists, and we start construction as quickly as possible so we do not lose another season.
All right, and motion by Councilmember Sells, second by Councilmember Hall. Oh, I'm sorry. And we have a second by Councilmember Hall.
I'd like to modify
Further
the motion.
discussion, we have discussion. All right.
Yeah, so request to Councilmember Sells for modification of the discussion. Council can make the motion to approve this item forward as currently planned and going back into construction with the understanding
that we'll explore future options for potential modifications at a later date to support water conservation.
Absolutely, happy to have that.
I'm good with that.
You're good with that amendment? Okay.
That's second.
We have that amended motion, Councilmember Sells, second, Councilmember Hall. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? All right. All opposed? All right, that was 4-2, is that correct? Okay. I'm sorry, 5-2, I'm sorry, 5, I'm counting. And 5-2, I'm sorry. All right, so that moves forward in that regard, or that direction is provided to staff in that regard. All right? Okay. All right, that should conclude the agenda for April 14th. Motion of adjournment by Councilmember Beeson, second by Councilmember Sells. All in favor? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.
Tomorrow's April 15th. Everybody pay your taxes. I'm shocked to hear this late. Oh my God, you know.